Let's face it, getting older sucks. Getting older in the age of social media is even worse. Do you hate it when people tell you to age gracefully? Do you want to know how to live your best life at any age? Well, so do we. First rule, don't call me ma'am. Now, here's Jodi Miller.
Hey everybody, welcome to Don't Call Me Ma'am. Don't fucking call me ma'am. I'm Jodi Miller, and today I'm incredibly excited to introduce you to my guest. She is an author, she is a fellow podcaster, but more importantly, ladies, she's a matchmaker. Yes, they still exist. Matchmaker, matchmaker, make me a match. Yeah, I can sing, no biggie. And I think I definitely sang that in a production of Fiddler on the Roof somewhere in high school. But anyway, I want everyone to put your hands together, and I know you're not driving anywhere because where are you going? Put your hands together right now for Julia Bendis. Woo!
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jodi, for having me.
Oh my God. I think I met you. Didn't I meet you at the Irvine Improv? Didn't you came up to me after a show?
Or before the show, yeah, I came to watch you, and then you were helping me with some comedy too. Remember that?
I know, I do remember that. But I honestly feel like you were immediately like, I can find you someone. Which for any single girl is like, yes, please do. We always wait. Single women in general wait to hear that. If you're single, you wait to hear, I can find you someone. And we also wait for like that psychic to walk up to you and be like, I have a message from beyond. And then you're like, what is it? So those two things. And I think I've had both of them happen to me, but this one was more important.
Well, it's funny because I always say, I can't stand those people that will say, oh, the universe will provide. I don't need to go out and look and put in too much effort. Universe will find me a man. So, but which is so ridiculous. You got to put yourself out there. But it's so funny because even my kids are like, Mom, you've got to stop approaching people and just say, oh my God, I think I have a match for you just based on what they look like. But I kind of knew you a little bit and what you're about, and I always wanted to try to, match you, of course. And so it's like it's an immediate thing for me. It's a problem. It's like a disease.
Well, I'm sure it's very embarrassing to your kids. I could see that. But for anyone else, it's not a problem. And you're right. No one has time for the universe to like decide when we're going to meet that person. It's the same reason we go to see psychics. Like, I don't have time to see how the future is going to unfold. Tell me now so that I can prepare.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think it's funny, but it's not funny. I've actually given my purse to my son before in a store. Like, stay here. I'm going to go after that person. I'm going to give him my card or her. I'll be right back. And he's standing there with security guard going and like, yeah, this happens all the time. I'm fine. Don't worry.
Do you feel like you approach men more than you approach women?
Well, so here's the thing about that. I'm not allowed to approach men anymore.
Oh, wow.
Well, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't. I'm not
Is there a restraining order that I should know about? Because that sounds very restraining ordery.
Well, at least in a bar. Because when men drink, like it just, everything, common sense, everything goes out the window.
Well, for women too, common sense goes out the window. I've hooked up with a lot of guys that I was like, ooh, if I wasn't drinking, that wouldn't have happened.
True, but then if my husband's with me, they always want to fight him somehow when they're drunk. I don't know why. And there's been a lot of altercations. Now he's like, okay, here's the place you're not allowed to approach men. Women, okay, let's see. They're probably not going to want to fight me. Just being when they're drinking, people when they drink in general, it just does not turn out.
Well, you're also hot, and you're coming up to them, and you're like, I can help you find love, and they're like, bitch, I'm looking right at it. What?
That's the problem. He's like, honey, you have to start out with, hi, I'm a matchmaker.
Right.
I start out with, hey, are you single?
Oh my God. So right there, like every guy in Orange County is like, have you met that girl, Julia? She just comes right up to you in the bar and she's like, you single? And she's married and her husband doesn't care. Like, they're probably just like, wow.
Yeah, he just kind of stands there watching, it's not a big deal. No, but hey, but at the same time, I've been married for 22 years. It's
I love it. You did something right. I want to get into the whole matchmaking thing because it's a really important thing, especially in today's culture with dating apps, which, I'm on, which you know how I feel about them. It's, any woman over 40 on a dating app, it's like shopping at Marshall's. I'm not even sure if Marshalls is still in business with the coronavirus. But anyway, I want to get into that. But more importantly, I want to just talk a little bit about your backstory. And by the way, her entire backstory, which is amazing, fascinating, hilarious, and touching, is in her book, No Smiling Allowed, which is, her journey. There it is, everyone. And we'll give you all the info. And it'll be, look at my bio. It's going to be all the info is going to be there. As someone who was, also of Jewish faith and, Eastern European, Russian, Ukrainian. I mean, there's that sort of bond. And I really connected to a lot of what you said. And you came over here when you were 13, right?
Right. Yeah. It's kind of a funny story.
I can't even, 13 is tough enough. Just being 13 is tough enough. In the throes of puberty, starting high school or middle school for a lot of people, I mean, it is brutal. And then you're coming over, you don't even speak the language, and you're in Orange County, which, yes, as you pointed out, is like the most, it's like the Orange County is the uber popular girl of Southern California, like the most popular girl. Like Northern California is like the alt girl who's like kind of like we don't know what to like. She's cool, but she probably smokes cigarettes, and we don't know what's going on with her. And LA is like, everybody's kind of friend, a little snobby, but Orange County is like the popular girl, and everyone wants to be friends with that person.
Yeah. It's, I would say it's a funny story, but looking back, it's not a funny story. It was a really hard, sad story. And as I always say, with comedians, there's always a dark story because that's where you get your humor from.
Yeah.
Comedy, but I didn't realize it was funny when I was writing it. I was writing it as kind of like my story, my life, my family. But
right.
We came here in 1989. It was before the fall of communism.
Mm-hmm.
So I was born in Ukraine,
right.
kind of by mistake. My mom just went there to visit her parents. We lived in Latvia, which was the Baltic states. They still are.
Can we just stop and just say that you were like, I was born by mistake? I mean, that's very telling right there. I was born, by mistake, which, by the way, a lot of people are, but we, love our kids.
Right. No,
regardless.
The funny thing is like when I say that, to me, it's like no big deal, but people are like, wait, what? No, she just wanted to go, and her parents were there, so it was no big deal. She had me there. We were there for a little while, but we lived in the Baltic states in Latvia, and we're Jewish, so that was on our passport, as the Russians, the Soviets refer to us. That was our nationality, which is why I think it's so dangerous right now to refer to Jews as as their nationality, ethnicity. It was like, oh, it's not your religion, but we're just gonna say that this is your everything. This is how we're gonna define.
Yes, I mean, here's the thing. Just to stop you for a second, I completely can relate to that on a level, being for so many years, and I used to have a joke about it earlier on, in my career on stage. So many people would say, "Oh, you don't look Jewish." And I'm like, it's a religion. You're right. I don't resemble the Star of David. I've been working out, so I'm no longer the shape of a triangle. Like what? I mean, I understand what they're saying, but I got so irritated hearing, you don't look Jewish. You don't look Jewish. You're Jewish?
Actually, do Jews look? Horns, giant nose, like what are we?
Well, I have a good plastic surgeon, so it's all, shaved down, as, you have a lot of hair. It's hiding under there.
Yeah. Oh my God. And that is why, in my book, there's a chapter called An Oxymoron, because my friends started calling me that because, I never had like this one identity as people do. Right. So what am I? Am I Russian? Am I Latvian? Am I Ukrainian? Am I Jewish? Am I, funny? Am I a mom? Am I a matchmaker? But I'm kind of all of the above.
Yeah.
Because, and it's funny, I have tattoos on my back. One side, it's Russian stuff, and the other side is Jewish stuff, because that's who we are. Russian Jews, we felt like we never connected anywhere, and a lot of us didn't want to go to Israel, even though life in Russia was so bad, but it was like a foreign country to us. I mean, of course,
right. Yeah.
A lot of people did because they didn't have anywhere else to go, but thankfully my mom had relatives here who brought us here, her cousin,
right.
And but it's crazy because the Russian side of me is like that loud mouth, annoying, constantly yelling, constantly, berating someone, trying to kill someone. And then my Jewish side is like the complete opposite, sweet and apologizing and cooking constantly. And it's like they're clashing all the time.
I feel like that was my family as well. There was loud and guilt and I'm sorry. Yeah. And then I'm loud again, and then I'm sorry for being so loud, and did I say something that's offensive, and then I'm done with you, and we're not talking to you for a very long period of time.
Yes.
We do a lot of that. That's it. Like, I remember being young and being like, why do we no longer see, cousin whoever? And they were like, oh, we're not talking to them for a while. Like, the whole family just decided, no, they're dead to us. And then all of a sudden they just appear at a bar mitzvah or an anniversary party or a birthday party or a family like reunion. And I'm like, oh, so we're talking to them now? Like, oh, we're talking to them now. It's fine. So, I mean, as a kid, I was like, okay.
That is the whole comedy routine. I mean, this is why you couldn't make this up, because this is so true. It is such a true statement. It is constantly somebody fighting. I mean, I haven't talked to part of my family in forever. Somebody decided we're mad at them for whatever reason, but then when we do, it's amazing, and it's just crazy. It's craziness, the guilt, like you said, it's never-ending guilt. I don't know if it's the same as Catholic guilt. I hear a lot about that. But
I think it's all the same. I think guilt is guilt. I think everyone's got a different way of getting in there. My mom used a very subtle technique that I didn't realize that she was making me feel guilty, because it kind of came across as like she was happy for me, but she'd be like, well, when are you going to come see me? And I was like, well, I'm working a lot. I'm really busy. And she's like, it's so good that you're working, which sounds like she's supportive. And then she slides in there, it's so good that you're working, even though I moved closer to be with you so I could see you more, but I'm glad you're working. So I was like, she's very good at that. She's very good at that. And she's been dead now for almost 8 years. And she's still, like, I still have conversations with her, and she still manages to make me feel guilty. If I'm just talking out loud at her urn, which sits on my mantle, and I'm just talking to her, all of a sudden I'm answering myself as if I'm like, all right, Mom, I get it. Like, I still say that all the time. I get it, Mom. That's enough.
That Jewish guilt,
right in there.
Jewish mother guilt that never goes away.
It never goes away. It never goes away.
I keep saying that to myself. I have a 15 and 20-year-old, and I keep saying, I'm not going to be like that. I'm not going to be that mother. And my kids refuse to watch the Goldbergs and ABC.
Right. Yeah.
It literally gives them PTSD.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
It is our family, and it is me. They walk out of the room. I love that show because I'm laughing. Yeah, that's me, Beverly. Goldberg. They call me Beverly, and they walk out of the room because they're like, Mom, you understand this hurts. This hurts. Why do we have to be like this? Why? Why is this our culture?
Hilarious. Well, tell them that they could have grown up, without knowing the language, and you know what I mean, with like, and I get the whole like frizzy hair, trying to fit in someone else's hand-me-downs. I mean, that's a traumatic thing. I mean, you were just a teenager, like just entering your teens, and you had at what age? Tell everyone, what age did you feel like, okay, I finally feel like I fit in?
Oh, I still don't feel like I fit in, and I'm 44.
Well, okay, that might be everyone in general. But when did you feel like, okay, I've assimilated into the American lifestyle?
Right. So when we came here, we were really one of the first Russian Jewish families. There was a huge Russian population in LA, of course,
yes,
over the country. But I think so. It took me, and my brother was younger, he was 10. It took me about, I want to say 3 months to where I felt comfortable speaking and writing. And, as a teenager, it's faster for my parents. It took a lot longer.
Oh my God, of course.
But then I started, when I would like make phone calls, I remember even calling the school pretending I'm the mom, and, they'd call my mom and say, there's someone with a heavy accent calling for Julia, but I have a feeling it's not you because your accent sounds different and you sound older, But
that's hilarious.
I felt comfortable enough after about, 3 months, but I didn't feel like I belonged or fit in until probably Probably until after high school,
Right.
because middle school, they held me back. I was
Right.
supposed to go into eighth grade. I went into seventh because I didn't speak a word of English. I
Right.
couldn't do anything. I couldn't even do math because things were so different. But middle school was awful. Girls are awful. The other Jewish girls were awful,
Yeah. I
And
went to you brought up camp, and that's
oh,
a Jewish thing, especially it's actually an East Coast Jewish thing. Like I mean, primarily, as every one of my friends on the East Coast who is Jewish went to sleepaway camp. All of us. We not just went to camp, sleepaway camp. My first year in sleepaway camp, I think I was 11 or 12 or 11, I think. That was my first year. And I spent a whole month there. And then, like, I slowly progressed. And it was great. The first year, I think it was a little difficult. But then after that, like, you wanted to go so that you could, like, sneak into boys' tents and kiss. But that was, yeah, that was, like, I'm glad that you experienced that. You know what I mean?
I'm not. I
I know you're not, but like you have to admit, like that's a crash course. I feel like all
yeah.
kids should have it. It is a crash course of like learning how to take care of yourself in a way. Even though there's so many adults around, all these counselors, all of these, but there was something there was something great about it that was a teaching moment for us to be a little bit more independent and not rely on our parents so much and to figure things out on your own. You know what I mean? Just, unpacking your stuff and having your trunk and like deciding who you're going to talk to. And like, it's so awkward and just, yeah, just being away from home is, a crazy
I agree.
experience.
I think it's great for kids in general,
Yeah.
but you have to remember where I came from.
Yes, of course. For you, I'm sure it was like one more traumatic thing.
It was like we just came here and we're getting shipped away again because we did get to go to a lot of communist camps. And I talk about it in my book. It's funny now. It wasn't funny then because
Right.
we lived in a metropolitan city. So in the summer, my parents wanted to do something good for us. They didn't want us sitting on a fifth story apartment. So they shipped us to all these camps in Ukraine. And I swear, not only are, I hate to say that all of Ukraine is anti-Semitic, but they don't really like Jewish people. They just don't like Jews. So these camps, especially during the war, that was like Polish people, Ukrainian
Totally, by the way, totally different camps during the war. Totally.
different camps. But it reminded me because it was like we got treated like crap in general.
Right.
Not because we were Jewish, just they treated all the kids like crap.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sure I got treated like crap too in my sleepaway camp, even though they paid a lot of money. But I was a kid, so I didn't care. They were like, clean the horses' stalls. I was like, absolutely.
Okay.
I will totally do that.
I would have loved to clean the horses' stalls. We had to crap in the woods. We slept in a room with like 40 kids on the floor, at least whatever mats. Oh, it was just terrible.
That's terrible.
Very abusive, but there's so much.
It sounds a lot like it actually sounds like Burning Man, to be honest with you.
I heard of that.
Yeah, that's what Burning Man sounds like to me. Like just sleeping on the floor. People, you know what I mean? People love it. I'm like, they eat out of cans, they crap in the woods. That's what it is to me.
Well, if we had drugs, it would have made it better.
You're right. You're right.
The alcohol, the drugs, the weed, that would have been better.
That would have actually made it, yes. That would have been fun. That would have been a party.
Really fun, yeah. So no, but it was it was an experience. Obviously, now I can threaten my kids with that. It gives me a lot of leverage, and with my family too.
Right.
I've been through so much. Like you don't understand. You've got to make it easier for me. I've been through hell.
Oh my God, I love it. You can play that card forever. Do you know what your mother went through? I mean, I'm sure your 20-year-old is like, I don't care. At this point, he's like, 20-year-old. Oh my God, to be 20 again.
And all too, that's the funniest thing.
Of course.
Why is it always in our culture? I don't know if it's a Russian thing or a Jewish thing, but we always know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who went off a cliff, or somebody who ate something and died the next day.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Do you know how many people tell me about somebody who just dropped dead? Like I'm not even talking about Corona people, just like drop dead, like open the fridge, drop dead. And they're always like right around my age. Like I joke about that. Like when you get to a certain age, people love to share with you death amongst your peers. They just want to let you know, like you're close now. You're no longer in your 30s. Once you hit that 40 mark, you are close to death. That's what I feel like everybody loves to tell me. You know what I mean? Like, Karen, perfect health, drop dead.
But then
I'm
when
like,
you ask them who this person is, nobody has the name, their address.
it's somebody, yeah, somebody of somebody knows somebody, and I heard it through something, and you're just like, okay, well, that's great. That
Very
doesn't.
suspicious.
Okay, well, let's talk about, because you mentioned this in the book, and I mean, I was kind of wondering myself anyway, if it, if becoming a matchmaker sort of started, when you were younger, and you bring up the whole, like, you like to meddle in other people's business or just like know what's going on. And I feel like I definitely had a little bit of that. I mean, that's also being a teenage girl for the most part, but like, were you always like, did you just look at people and be like, I feel like they would make a good match? Or you could look at someone and be like, he would be so good for her. Was that always like a thing for you?
Always. It is so annoying. It was like the only thing I care about, and literally still to this day, I all I do is cook and meddle into people's lives. I really don't care about anything else. I really don't. I mean, obviously, civil issues, civil rights, civil liberties.
Right, no, of course. Yeah, the other stuff, the really important stuff. But yes, but other than that, like, love is a big deal. So
love, sex. I mean, I always want to know what's happening, if they're having good sex. And I don't know, I feel like it's my dad's fault, because it was always like, whenever
please don't tell me that your dad was always wondering if you were having good sex.
Always. Even
really?
And for him, it's like, okay, you got a zit. Are you not having sex? Like, what's happening?
Oh my God.
What is it? Because, to him, every solution is sex. For sex.
Wow. Well, that is, I don't think that's a lot of dads out there. I mean, I think a lot of guys out there are like, yeah, every solution is having sex. But usually dads aren't having that conversation with their daughter. Like,
it's big to him. My parents were very open growing up. I mean,
that's great.
To close the door, stop walking around in your underwear. My friends are here. Like, why? Why is it a big deal? So what? And my dad always says I don't sound like that. I'm like, yeah, you do. But that's exactly what he said. But no, it was just always how I was. I connected people. I love connecting people.
I love that.
Okay, you need a boyfriend, you need sex, you need a job, you need this. Okay, let's get you together with these people. Go talk to so-and-so.
Who was your first match? Do you remember your first match?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So I think my first official match, I was a freshman in high school.
Okay.
And I set up my friend with this boy I knew who lived in my area, in my complex. And they went out for like, I don't know, a couple years. It was a great match. And then after that, it was somebody else, and they just never stopped. Whatever, I was going to school for social work, but I was constantly worrying about other people's love life more than my job. So, at some point, my husband was like, you got to stop meddling in people's love life and stop just random people and just start your own business. Because
I think what he meant to say was, if you're going to meddle in other people's love life, you better get paid for it. That's what he was saying.
That
is great. Absolutely. And I mean, you're doing a mitzvah. And for those who don't know, it's like a good deed. You're doing good deeds. I've matched up two people, not matched up, but I convinced, one of my really good friends to give her, her now husband a chance, and she wasn't going to. And that's my mitzvah. I was at the wedding, and they brought, if Jodi hadn't pushed us. So I've got one under my belt. Now, I wouldn't have actually ever thought they would have been, I don't think I have that ability. I can't look at people and be like, oh, they would be a good match. Now, I mean, visually I can. Like, if my friend is like, I like that guy who's all ripped up tattoos and drives a bike and, likes to play video games all day. I mean, I can obviously find that guy.
Right.
But that's it. Like, I mean.
See, and it's funny you say that, because I'm very visual. Well, who isn't visual? Don't you love it when people say I'm very visual? Like, yeah, everybody is visual.
Yeah, if you have the ability to see, you're probably very visual.
Yeah, I love how men say, I have to see pictures. I'm just really visual. I'm like, idiot. All of you are visuals. Women are too. We want to see pictures too.
Yeah, we are really visual.
We're really visual.
Like, the only pictures we don't want to see are your dick. Like dick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We don't want to see that.
It's not pretty. Listen, I'd rather see a naked woman before I see a naked man.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, we're on the same page. But what was I saying? What did you see?
So you're talking about being visual. like you
Yes.
always knew, yes, you could always just see the visual, like he would look like that's her type visually, like, you know, physically.
Or I think it's beyond that. I am visual in terms of that. I just need to see their face, and a lot of times I do print people's pictures, and my office sometimes looks like a crime scene because on the floor I have pictures like headshots
Right.
all over the floor, and then I just kind of stand there and I ponder. But I have to get to know that person too, because once I start talking to them, you know, within the first 10 minutes, I know whether they're lying to me or not.
Oh,
And
wow. Tell me, like, what, how do you, like, what do you mean? Give me an example.
and that's what I tell people too. When you're out there, be your own matchmaker in a way,
Yeah.
you know, like kind of see through the BS, see through the red flags.
Right.
Well, I mean, like I know when people, for example, if someone starts out a sentence with, you know, look, I'm no racist, but
Of
I
course. Yes. Yes. Then you're like, you're
I
racist.
have a strong bias towards white women, and that's all I've dated. So, you know, I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about this. Is it just a preference? Is it something you just always known and you don't know any different? Or are you really a racist? You know, that's the point. Let's get to this. You know? But, you know, a lot of times I can tell when they're lying to me. I can tell when they're telling me what they think I want to hear. And,
Right.
you know, in terms of a partner, like, oh, you know, I'm not so into looks. I really just want a good person. You're into looks. Who is not, especially in Orange County, Southern California, you know, so you're telling me that if I bring you someone who's extremely overweight or extremely underweight, you're going to be like, yeah, let's do this.
Right.
Oh, you know, so people are just they need to be honest with themselves first. And that's, you know, I turn people away who tell me they want a man, but I know they want a woman, or the other way around, you know, men that say they want a woman, but I feel it. I know they're gay. And
Right.
and I feel bad, but I always have a conversation with them. I say, look, I'm getting a different vibe from you. And have you ever thought about being with a man? And then, you know, one of them started crying. And he said, if my dad found out, he would kill me.
Right.
Like,
That's so sad.
so, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, so you need to be honest with yourself.
Yeah, you have to be honest with yourself if you want to be in any like healthy relationship. Any healthy relationship, you have to be honest about what you're looking for, what you can contribute to the relationship, because I think a lot of people they don't even know themselves. So how could they know what they want out of a partner if they haven't taken the time to get to know themselves?
Exactly.
I hope a lot of people during this quarantine are like really, you know, getting to know themselves. I mean, I know for me, it takes 3 days before I have to shower. That's the big takeaway.
Well, you know yourself.
I know myself. Here's the thing. I mean, you know my history. I've been single, you know, the majority of my life. In later years, I've definitely had, you know, the last 3 relationships were pivotal for me as far as not lengthwise, but like what I needed to learn from them. The takeaway was, I feel like the last like few pieces. And a lot of times, you know, we sit there and we're working on ourselves, and a lot of times we're not ready. We tell ourselves we're ready. We get on the dating apps, or we hire a matchmaker, or we have our friends set us up because we're like, I'm ready. Like, where is he? And in reality, we're not ready. We haven't done the work. We haven't figured it out. And I think for a lot of people, it's the other way around. Like for me, I think for a long time I wasn't ready. And now I really truly believe I'm ready. But like I tell people when I was buying my house, I wanted to buy a house like years ago, but I was waiting for things to come through in order to have a down payment, and it just wasn't happening. And I felt stuck.
Yeah.
And when I got this house last year, I remember walking in and immediately knowing, and the truth is I was ready to move, you know, maybe 3 years ago, I was ready, but this house wasn't ready for me. I was always supposed to be in this house, and this house wasn't ready for me yet. There was somebody still living here, you know, a family that was still living here. They weren't ready. So the house wasn't ready for me. So I truly believe I might be ready. I've done the work getting to know myself. I've worked on things that I needed to work on. But maybe my match is not, he's not ready yet. He's just not ready, but he's getting ready. You know what I mean?
It's the timing. I mean, the timing is huge too, you know, like you said. And at the same time, I feel like a lot of times people ask for things or want things that they think they should be looking for in a partner, but not necessarily what they need. You know, whether it's cultural pressures, family pressure, or what they think, I have tons of clients that come to me and say, I will date within my culture only because this is what's important to me. There's nothing wrong with that, but is that what's important to you? Do you truly want somebody, or are you open to any culture, or are you open to anything? And, that whole opposites attract thing is such BS. I never believed it. Yes, it's exciting because it's someone different. It's something different. But at some point, that's what's going to break up your relationship, know, because you're going to be doing things that you don't want to do. Like, for example, someone who's super adventurous, super going, hiking, running, biking, mountain climbing, and you're just like, okay, I'll do it because that's what.
Because that's what. Everyone's like, and everybody. And by the way, everyone posts those pictures on all the apps. They're skiing and surfing, and they're outside, and they're playing with their dogs, and they're hiking, and they're super active, and they're riding their bike. If I don't see a picture with you like on a couch somewhere, like I'm not going for, like, I don't want to be that active. But for a long time, I was like, I'll do anything too. No, I don't surf. I don't ski. I mean, if you do once in a while, that's great. You should have your own hobbies. But if you're like outdoor man all the time, I am not your girl. Because and I'm not going to lie to myself and say that I am. Also, if all I see are pictures of your dog, that's another red flag for me. Now, I know everybody's like, oh, but he's a dog guy. Like, okay, I'm a cat girl. I like dogs. But if you're all about your dog, it's not going to work, buddy.
Well, 1 or 2 pictures with your dog is totally fine.
Totally fine. I don't even, by the way, I have no pictures of my cat because, look, here's the thing.
The same, yeah.
I know, because that is an immediate like red flag for a lot of people. And let me ask you a question, because an ex told me this. No, he didn't live here. So we had like a long distance thing, but he just brought up, in my mid-40s, and he was like, a woman in her 40s who has never been married is a red flag for guys. And I was like, what? I didn't think it was. But then the more people I talk to, the older you get for a woman, like if she's never been married, apparently it's a red flag for a lot of guys.
Well, here's the thing. Everything is a red flag.
Well,
to me, it's a matchmaker, right? So it can be anything. Someone who was married young could be a red flag.
Right.
Someone who was in their early 20s, or 20 years old that got married or whatever. So anything could be a red flag. I don't necessarily think it's a red flag, because I have met a lot of people that never married or got married later, or came to me, like you said, in their mid 40s and they were still not married. Because people devote themselves to their job. They devote themselves to developing a career. And I always say that it's better to be a complete person when you find your other person, your partner, than jumping into something so young when you're still, there's a chance you can still grow apart.
Oh my God, of course.
Even for me, look, I got married super young. I advise everybody against it, because not because I don't love my husband, it's, I was 22 years old when we got married. I had my first at 23. I mean, my oldest is 20, and I'm telling him, imagine in 2 years from now you having a kid. He's like, oh my God, no way.
Right.
And it's not right. I always think, so I think it's a good thing to wait till you're completely ready. And the fact that you know yourself, things happen, people die, engagements get broken. So you don't know the reason. So for him to say that, I
mean, he had his own issues for sure. And it's not that I absolutely agree with that, but there are elements of it that I can see true. And I joke about it, but sometimes for a woman, it would be better if I said I was divorced or I was a widow than I've never been married. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I should just say that. I like, oh, he died. Because then they're like, okay, well, some guy committed to her, so I can commit to her. There's just a lot of like, so I want to talk about dating apps, because I'm sure that changed your business. When we first met, there were no dating apps. I mean, there was online dating, but there weren't dating apps, which in my opinion has destroyed like true romance. Although I have friends that have met and got married on a dating app. So I'm on them, but it really does, like, it's sort of, it eliminates the days. I mean, everything is eliminated these days, but it eliminates the days of like being out at a bar and noticing someone, and maybe the guy's going to walk over or the girl's going to walk over and say something, and then we get that fear of rejection. So we stop ourselves and then just go to our phone and was like, well, this is like rejection free, sort of. I can just swipe.
Yep.
And if they don't swipe, maybe, I don't know, they didn't see my picture yet or whatever. It's a safer way for a lot of people, instead of taking that chance, walking up to someone in real life and being like, oh, hi, you know, can I buy you a drink, or can I get to know you, or are you single? I mean, any of these things, just getting to know someone in real life. Like, I always think that's just the way it's going to be, because there's so many men that I swipe on, like left or right on, that if I saw them in real life and I met them, maybe I swiped left on them. I didn't, you know, I wouldn't go out with them, but I met them in real life, and this is a person I would date. It's so hard to just make that judgment call based on their, you know, and a lot of profiles are great. They're getting better and better, and they're more elaborate, so I can get a better sense of who they are. But still, it's
exactly what you said first about my business. And so it's so different than from what I do, honestly. You know, I almost tell people, go and do all of that, try all of that, the apps, the websites, Match, everything, and then come to me, because you see the difference and you'll understand the value of what I do. Because a lot of times people will say, well, you know, what's the difference? You do the same thing, you know, it's the same thing through you. No, it's not. There's nothing online. You know, each profile is to me only, and you've seen what they look like. I put them together. I interview every person. I meet with every person. But yeah, right now it's a little bit hard, you know, and I think a lot of us matchmakers were struggling for a while, because when everything shut down, you know, like middle of March, we couldn't do in-person dates. We started doing Zoom and FaceTime and everything. And at first people were very excited, because, you know, you don't really even have to have pants on. You just have the top up, you know, a nice cute top.
Which, by the way, is an amazing first date. When you don't have pants on the first date, it's going pretty well.
Exactly. You know, so people were very excited about that, and it was great. But I think after a while, there was this fatigue, you know, this whole Zoom fatigue, this video chat fatigue, because it's not very personal, and, you know, you're looking for your best angle. So you're not.
Yes, it's terrible.
You look to, and, you know, I tell people, okay, well, get creative. Put your phone down. Just hear yourselves. You don't even have to be looking at it.
Yes, you're not. We're not meant to be looking at ourselves like this all the time.
Straight, exactly. And just like cook together, watch a movie together. So people were doing that a lot, and I hate that. I could not do that. So I understand what people are like, you know what, I'm so over this. I'm done. I'm just going to wait, put it on hold. But here's why, you know, I think online dating and the apps is an amazing tool. I think it's a huge tool, and it was an amazing creation.
Yes.
But people become way too picky, because like, first of all, it's safe. And there's just constant swiping. Well, let's see who the next one is. Let's see who the next one is.
It's addictive. It's like a game. Trust me. I spent many nights before I went on stage just looking at, you know, Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, just swipe. Yeah, absolutely. And then you see somebody, you're like, oh my God, I really like this guy. And then maybe you guys talk, but it never actually goes to texting or on the phone. And I got to a point too with that I had to put up my boundaries. And I was like, if he hasn't already asked, like, let's do something, or let's have a phone call. You know, here's my problem. And I think it's different. I'm sure it's different with the matchmaking, although you just said that, you know, guys ask you, or girls might ask you for certain like requirements.
Oh yeah.
But I think, and I've seen it through the years, because I've been on the dating apps as long as they've been around. I feel like a lot of guys, and I'm sure girls do this too, they see a number, they see that age, and they immediately swipe left. They don't even, and I know for a fact that it's a thing, because I've changed my age to see if I got more likes, if I went down 4 years. It's like, I get it with some men if they still want children, but I'm talking about the guys that don't want any more children, or don't want children in general.
They want that young.
They want that girl in the 20s. And I'm on that, you know, I'm on all the sites. I'm on Raya, which, you know, is like the Orange County of dating apps. And it is really difficult to get likes, because they look at that number and they're like, either they don't think I look the way I look, you know, and or they're like, she's
Much
too old.
younger.
I deserve, like, I'm
Yeah.
55, so I deserve someone who's 25. Like, I'm like, are you out of your mind?
Newsflash, you don't. You don't.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And it's funny because I actually posted something a long time ago, like a checklist for those type of men. Prior to asking for a woman half your age, look in the mirror. Let's do a checklist here. Do you look like Brad Pitt? Do you look like, like go down the list of all these
Right.
gorgeous men? No. Okay, you can't ask for that. Do you have, $1 billion? Do you have this? Do you have that? And then even if you do you want someone that loves you for your money and what you can offer them and a lifestyle, or do you want a serious partner?
Right.
And I think that is the biggest thing with doing what I do in Orange County. And I said this the other day, I don't know if I can continue doing what I do here because how shallow people are.
I was just gonna say, there have to be. Do you get people, like, especially women, that are just like, I want to meet somebody rich. I want someone to take care of me.
Oh, all the time. And
Do they just say that? They just come out and say that? Like, I need to be taken care of.
So they're a little more classier than that.
What do they say? What do they say?
Usually what the women say are like, I want someone successful. Okay, well,
established. I want someone established.
Successful, and I say, well, everybody that comes to me, obviously they have to be able to afford these services. I verify a lot of things. I have to make sure they have a stable job, and even though I work with everyone, from blue collar workers all the way up to famous people, whatever, which
Right.
I'd rather not because it's such a pain in the ass. I hate to say that, but the more money people have, the more the expectations, are higher. And it's like,
With the expectations, like, for the client, or like
their expectations of what they
of
do,
what
of what they need, And the funniest thing is when men say to me, like they're in their 50s or 60s, and they say, Julia, that's a great profile you sent me. Thank you so much. But, I just relate better, and I'm better with women in their 20s and 30s. We just get along better.
So gross.
Such bullshit. Like, I'm sorry, but that's not what it is at all. They want you for your lifestyle, for your money. You want them for their looks and this trophy.
So then that is a perfect match in a way. I mean, I understand why you don't want, you're like fed up with that, and that's not the kind of matches you make, because you do seek the real connection, the real love, and that's what makes you great. But I'm sure, I mean, it is a match if somebody's like, I want to be taken care of, and I want to be, you know what I mean? I want to live in this big, beautiful house, and I want a man who's established, and I'm going to have money. And he's like, I want somebody hot. I want him like a trophy. I want this woman on my, arm, and I want people to be jealous of me. Then that's like a match, because they know what they're getting.
It is. But, the problem with that is usually within a certain amount of time, within a few months, that young woman ends up breaking up with them because she becomes younger and hotter and wealthier. Because to them, it's not about love. It's not about growing old together. It's about what they can give them. So then they come back to me and they're destroyed and they're upset and they don't understand. And then they start blaming me because I presented that match to them. I'm thinking, but this is what you wanted. You knew it was going to end like this.
Right.
Once you find someone younger and hotter and wealthier and whatever else, she's going to be done with you. So it doesn't last.
Let me ask you a question. Do you have it? Is it like reverse? Like, do you have like really incredibly rich and powerful and successful and established women that want younger guys?
They do, but that's never going to happen, unfortunately. And I've gotten so much hate mail for that. It's awful. I present them to younger men. I think would be amazing. No, it is like pulling.
A lot of younger guys, though, like successful, powerful women. I mean, it's more.
But they also kind of want that same lifestyle and want to be, you know what I mean? So it's also, these women are truly looking for a partner.
Right.
Not looking for, a sugar baby to take care of. They really want a life partner. But these boys, young men, they just want to have fun.
God, I would just love to be like, this is my sugar baby. Like, I just want to call him my sugar baby. Just once. I want to call a guy once my sugar baby. Even if he's not my sugar baby. Even if he's older than me, I just want to be like, sugar baby. Taking care of this one.
But then you got to teach them stuff. That's what I keep telling people. Why
Yes.
younger man? Then you got to teach them everything. It's like starting all over again. I can't imagine. I would have, honestly, I joke about this. You know, if God forbid my husband died tomorrow in his sleep.
Oh my God. I gotta live.
You know, my profile would be the crappiest profile ever. It would be so honest,
Yeah.
and it would be like, I don't work out, I don't hike, you know, I can walk on the beach with you. I don't want any young guys. I want you to know what you're doing in the bedroom. I want this, and you know, it's just because you know yourself at a certain age, right? You know what you want, and you know what you don't want.
You know, it's so, we definitely do. I've definitely had a lot, like I've done a lot of experiments with the apps and my profiles just to like really take the temperature of certain people. And Hinge I really enjoy because they have a lot of interesting questions and prompts, and that you know, they have a lot of, it's not just like, you know, I like to do what on a Saturday. They've got like really interesting lead-in questions, which I really like.
Yeah.
And one of them on my profile is, how would your mom describe you? And for the longest time, I think I had, you know, a very generic mom thing, you know, that I'm caring and loyal and that I love my cat. Like something, you know, cute. But I think all my other questions, I had a funny answer for that. So that one was very sincere and honest, what my mom would say. But I say sincere and honest because that's what my mom would say, but that's not really how I would answer it. So I remember I was at work when we were allowed to go to work about 6 months ago, and we were looking at my profile because that's what we do when we're like, you know, not taking a break from work. We're looking at everyone's profile, and like the girls are sort of coaching the guys and the guys are coaching the girls. So I was like, you know what, that's not the answer that I wanted to give. And everyone was like, well, what's the answer you wanted to give? So the answer was going to be, how would your mom describe you? And my answer was, she wouldn't, because she's dead. So they were like, put that, because that is what I would say. So
funny. See,
it is funny, and it's true. So I put that there.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, my likes went from like, I don't know, you got like 3 to 5 a day to like maybe 3 to 5 a week, like dropped down like completely. Like I stopped getting likes, and it was real. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
They couldn't like hear that that was a joke, even though a lot of my other answers were also funny answers. And you know that you can tell that I'm a comedian just from my profile and my pictures, because I'm on stage. So obviously, but the second I changed it back to a more generic, safer answer, the likes went right back up again. So either they were like intimidated by like, this girl's just she's too funny, or she's too on, or she doesn't take things seriously, and she doesn't, you know, like it was actually really upsetting, because I can look at a guy's profile and I can see a really like sarcastic, funny answer to a question and be like, oh, that's a really, I can tell that guy's funny. Or I can tell he's trying too hard.
And I think you're right. I think it was bad timing, because I know men, even, you know, my clients would absolutely love that, and they would see that you're funny and the sarcasm. I think it was just the wrong people, honestly.
I mean, they could have thought, oh, she's like really hurting from her mom's death. Because if you're just reading it, they could be like, oh, she's saying it like she wouldn't because she's dead. And then I'm not over it and I'm still dealing with it. Instead of me being like, well, she wouldn't because she's dead.
Right. They're like, oh, crap, she's grieving. I don't want to talk to her yet. I'm going to give her some time. But
although I find that when I'm grieving about anything, I'm more vulnerable. So guys usually like flock to me.
That's very true. Did you have a smiley face at the end, or no? Nothing.
I know. I had an emoji of the girl going.
Oh, God.
See, that's funny. It's all about the emoji, people.
I think a smiley face probably would have been more like, hey, I'm fine, you know, I'm laughing.
Hey, my mom's dead. Who wants some dead mom humor right here?
Oh my God, that's so funny. I think people just can't see beyond what they're reading. They really don't read between the lines. so
Right.
to speak. And I think a lot of people just kind of get lost. And, I think a lot of men just don't read profiles, period. That's one of the things that I help people with is their
Right.
online dating profile. A lot of times they just want help with that. And I'm happy to do it because people just kind of swipe. They don't really even stop to read. That's
Right.
why you have to have amazing pictures, and they don't have to be professional, just really good pictures. I love the ones where there's like, a group of people. And and there's 3 or 4 pictures like that. Even they send them to me, and I'm like,
Right.
how do I know which one you are?
I
Could you
know. It's so, yeah, it really is very frustrating when I see a profile picture and there's not one, maybe there's one picture of him alone and it's from like 100 feet away. I'm like, who the fuck is that? And then there's like 5 pictures of him with all of his friends, or him and like 2 hot girls. Like he's saying, look, I've got like hot girls that are all over me. I'm like, I don't want to see that. It's so, yeah.
It's so tacky. And it also tells us, like, what, are you hiding something? Do you have like a giant mole on your forehead or something? Why is it so far away? Why isn't there a couple good, decent pictures of just you? What are you hiding? So we have questions, and it might not even be the case, but that's why I tell people, you can't post pictures like that.
Right.
You have to, just go outside and have a friend take a bunch of cute pictures of you.
Well, yes, that's great advice. I would definitely do that for any of my guy friends that, we're doing a profile. I feel like I have actually. I think, it's so interesting because I've had to like, take a good look at my history of online dating and the dating apps and what I used to be attracted to, and now knowing like that's not really good for me. Like I used to, if I saw a guy in every picture partying, the center of attention, just larger than life, everything's crazy. Normally I would be like, oh my God, that's so my guy. And it's not my guy. That's so not my guy. And it took me a long time to be like, that's not like, we're like magnets. It's like the same side. You know what I mean? I know how you said like opposites don't attract, but I feel like not so much interests. I mean, personality types. Like I like to just compare, most relationships to like there's the plant and the pot. The plant needs the sunlight and the pot supports the plant.
Right.
And the pot gets bigger as the plant gets bigger. And sometimes the plant needs to be the pot, and vice versa. And when you're single, you have to be both of those things for yourself. But I think innately, like, you have to ask yourself, am I a pot or am I a plant? And I think for a very long time, I thought I was a pot because I do like taking care of people and it's sort of in my nature. But the reality of it is I'm a plant. And I was looking at other guys that were plants that also loved the spotlight and also liked being the center of attention. And while we might have had chemistry in the beginning, or like lust, we eventually just, you know what I mean? It was too much. So I find the relationships that I have had that are more successful, the guy has always been way more low-key. He's always been the plant type and just a little bit more reserved. Similar interests, we love some certain things, but he's okay with letting me be a little bit more, in the more plant-like.
And I completely agree, and I totally understand. And as corny as this sounds, my grandma used to have like the best advice, but it was also sometimes so traditional that like nowadays I really can't say because people just go crazy. For example, she would say, a man is not a man unless he has like hair everywhere, because that's a true sign of a man, but it's like, basically what you're trying to say is, like, it's okay to be hairy, it's okay to be with a man who's really hairy. Like, what are we so like metrosexual for? But the way she would say it, another thing she would say is like, it's okay, it's better for a man to love you more than you love him, kind of thing, but she would say it in Russian. It wasn't quite the same, but then she'd throw some so it's like Russian, Yiddish, whatever. But it's so true in a way that not so much that he should love you more, but like you said, take care of you, support you. And yes, you can do it for him. You should both do that for each other. But some people, especially for women, I feel like if we are I mean, we're all feminists, we're all independent, we all have our own lives and our own careers.
Right.
But sometimes as a woman, you do want to feel taken care of, because whether
Yes.
you're a mom or not, we end up giving 100% of ourselves to other people. We end up taking care of everyone else. And sometimes it's nice to have a man that you could just be like, you know what? I need you to support me right now. I need you to take care of me,
Yeah.
you know? And you were looking for someone like you, but you should have been looking for someone, like you said, that's a little more
Yeah.
caring and loving and just can step back and have you
Right.
be in the spotlight and do all the crazy things and whatever you want to do, but then come home and be like, ah, you know,
Yeah.
just chill, you know, have that, be that support for you.
It took
So
me a really long time to realize that. And I'll still like look at profiles and the guy will be so hot. I'll be like, woof, I'm so attracted to this guy just by the way he looks. But his profile, he's just the center of attention. It's just too much. And I'm like,
you
it's
don't
just,
need that.
no, that's just like that. I can just meet him somewhere and fuck him. Like if that's what I was going to do, then then I can just do that. And by the way, I have definitely made that decision. I have also, that's another great thing about the apps. Don't get me wrong. I've
Yeah.
definitely utilized them. Like, you know what? I just need to get fucked. And this guy looks perfect for that job. Sometimes, honestly, I purposely pick a guy who says he's allergic to cats because I know he only has about 30 minutes or so. Like, that's a fact.
That's amazing. See, you found
Because I know what I want. And then, and then I go back to, okay, now I'm actually looking for love. But we all go through that. We're allowed to change our mind. We're allowed to be like, I want this one day and this another day. That's
And
the
there's
great thing about us.
nothing with that, and there's nothing wrong with that, and that's what, you know, people sometimes use the apps for that, you know.
Yes.
And that, I think that's where you have to figure out what path you're on and what it is you're looking for, and those people will come into your life. I mean, unlike, I don't believe they're just going to fall into your lap. You have
Right.
to do some work, obviously, and get out there. Right now it's really hard because we can't go anywhere, we're in shutdown again. But
I know.
I feel like everyone should take a break from the app sometimes too, because it becomes addicting, overwhelming, frustrating.
Yeah.
And then it's almost like, you know, you do become addicted to that because it's so easy to do, but nothing ever comes out of it because people can't meet, or if they take too long to meet or communicate and have a regular conversation, it just fizzles out, you know. So you have to stay on top of it.
You have to stay on top of it. It is like a job. It's a lot of work. And a lot of times you're just like, I'm not feeling it. And here's the thing for me, like, nobody's their best version of themselves right now because of what we're going through and what we're experiencing. So it's really hard. But, our world isn't going to stop, turning, and our lives aren't going to stop, going on. And I want to meet someone. I still want that for me. Like, I still really want to meet someone and start the next chapter of my life, Corona or not. It really upset me because, I went into this quarantine one age and I'm coming out another age. And that's like, at my age, I don't have those months to waste. Like, I was on that, like, I'm ready to meet someone, I'm going to be dating a lot, and then the world shut down, and oh no, you're not going to be dating, and it's going to be like 6 months, 8 months before you can like really get out there and do it again, and everyone's going to have PTSD, so you're fucked either way. And I'm like, that's not fair. Like, if I was in my 20s right now, I'd be like, whatever. But I mean, it's like, I'm not. I don't have the time to waste. So it was like upsetting for a really long time.
It is, and people are so lonely, you know. It's so,
Yes.
It's been so hard to watch people. They're so lonely and they're so frustrated.
Lonely.
But listen, I'm always thinking about you. In fact, the other day, I had a new man that came to me.
Yeah.
Matchmaking, so I'm always thinking about you. But then it's like, well, he's very conservative and he wants a very traditional woman, and he's very much into, I love Trump still, and he's like the best president ever. I'm like, I don't know if you would really, like.
That is a resounding no.
That's what I thought.
And that's definitely a no. Yeah.
And unfortunately, being in Orange County, when the local people that come to me, it's for the most part very conservative.
Yes.
And I have no problem with it.
Yeah.
For the most part, those that don't like me, they won't sign up with me. If
Right.
I don't like them, that's fine, because I need to respect you, and I need to respect who you are. So if you're telling me that you think a president is doing a wonderful job in this pandemic,
Right.
still, like, it's one thing you voted for him. It's one thing that, you're a business person, and to you, it's all about the money and economy. I get it. But if you tell me that you're still supporting this person after all the hate and all the racism and all the things that he says, I can't personally help you because I don't respect you, so it's very hard.
It is really hard. I think I was just talking about this the other day with a friend of mine. What's really sad about this, and I really believe that it started, not to get too political because I don't normally get political, but I did notice, it started, with Obama, but I mean, our country, as we know, obviously is incredibly divided. But there was a time, and I remember it, where you could be conservative, you could be liberal, you could be a Democrat, a Republican, you can be on this, you could be an independent, you could be, moderate, you could be all these things, and you could have a discussion, a debate about things. It wasn't a deal breaker if someone was this way or someone was that way. And it has become a deal breaker. It has separated people to, extremes. We're so horrifically divided where if this was 8 years ago and you were like, he's conservative, I would be like, okay, well, that's fine. I mean, there, so many people, that's totally fine if you have different political views, but the way it is now, it's just not okay. You know what I mean? And everybody hates the other person, and people cut people out of their lives for things, you know what I mean? Because they don't share the same beliefs. And it's just really upsetting.
It was really hard for my business, and not just my business, for all matchmakers, because a lot of us had to add that question on our form, where are you politically? Because
it's on every dating app. Yeah.
Yeah. And it just, I never thought I had to add that. I mean, I have, do you have herpes? Do you have any kind of STDs?
Which is no longer a deal breaker. Now that's no longer a deal breaker. I would rather take someone with herpes. Yes.
That's what I hear. Exactly. Everybody says the same thing. We just didn't talk about it. It was like, yeah, okay, Bush sucks, whatever, moving on. It wasn't such a big deal. But yeah, it's become really tough. And I know I'm not the only one in this industry who finds it really difficult. I mean, I was helping another matchmaker actually.
I love that there are so many matchmakers out there. Like, I had no idea that there were that many. I mean, I obviously know that there are some, and obviously Millionaire Matchmaker put you guys like really on the map.
Not talking about her, though.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring up the P word.
It's a trigger. It's a trigger. I
didn't mean to trigger you. But I didn't know there were so many matchmakers still out there, even with all of the apps and all of the online dating.
That's the interesting part, is that I'm on a huge group of like thousands of them all over the world. So in fact,
are there like matchmaker conventions?
There are. There's one in New York, which I don't really associate with because I kind of boycott them because they're not as ethical as I'd like my colleagues to be. So they do some things that I don't approve of. But there's also another one, and they have, they get together once a year.
Right.
And all over the world, they go different things. There's conventions. There's like even awards that they do.
There are the awards? What are some of the awards?
Well, there's like an iDate conference, which is more for like, it's not just online dating, but it's for everything. A matchmaker, it's international. I think it was in Germany this year. It's all over. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So we need to get your profile updated, and I'm going to send it out there. We need to find you like a European man. I really see you with someone classy, more European.
I've always seen myself with a British man, just FYI. That's my jam. Like, that's my sense of humor, that their disposition, that like seems to match well with mine. And I've actually never been to London. I've been to Afghanistan, but I've never been to London. And I feel like that's where my man is. Like, he's waiting for me in London, but we can't go anywhere. So he's just sitting there, not even in the pub, because you can't go to the pub. He's just waiting for me.
Well, once you can travel, you should definitely go. That's my huge advice to women. All my women, I tell them, listen, go to the bar by yourself. Men will not approach you if you're sitting with a group of girlfriends.
I think the problem is, yes, that's true. I think the problem is that once you get to a certain age, the last thing I want to do now is go to a bar, especially after I work all day and I'm at a comedy club at night. I mean, I just want to go home and, relax. And it's like, I just don't want to sit at a bar and have a drink and then, and then wonder if somebody's going to talk to me. And it's, I mean, I guess it depends where you go to. You just can't like go to a college bar and expect your man to come up unless it's like the dad of one of the college kids.
It does work every time. Every time a client of mine has done that, they met someone within the first 20 minutes because men will approach you immediately. I guarantee it.
No, that's true.
Comes around, especially at the bar, and you're just having a drink, and
All right. Well, as soon as the bar's open again, I'm going by myself.
Do it. I will sit in the corner. So they approach, because if they see two girls, they're never going to approach. They're too.
Well, never say never. I've had a lot of guys come up. It's always when we're having that deep conversation. We're right in the middle of talking about, the death of someone or, that horrific thing that happened in high school. And then that guy just like walks up. He's like, ladies.
Yeah.
It was a great episode on Dead to Me. It was so so true. Yeah. Guys love to just come right in.
I love that. I love that show.
All right. Well, we're wrapping up, but thank you so much for being here. Please tell everyone where they can get your book, they can find you, they can listen to you, they can stalk you. Tell them all.
Please. Yeah, we love that. So yeah, my book is No Smiling Allowed.
Such a great title.
Thank you. Well, and it's true because what I did is, if you see all the pictures, like
yes, I saw
pictures always smiling.
Great.
Russians just don't smile.
We don't smile.
It's not a thing we did because it means you have something.
Yes. Why would you smile? You don't smile.
Communism. So you can get it on my website, matchbyjulia.com. And audiobook is coming out soon. I'll have it on all my Instagram and Facebook. I'm all over social media. It's all Match by Julia. So matchbyjulia.com, my podcast, everything's on the website. They can find everything there.
All right, great. And guys, and if you can't for some reason because you're like, I don't know what everything means. I don't know what that means. You'll see it on mine when this is posted. See it on my YouTube. You see it on my Instagram. You'll see it. Thank you so much for sharing your life with us. And yeah, 2020 is a wash. So this girl's getting married in 2021. How about that?
We'll make it happen. We will make it happen. Thank you, Jodi.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in, guys. This is Don't Call Me Ma'am. Don't forget, don't call me ma'am. See you next time.